Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and I'm an attorney that assists physician assistants with employment agreement and independent contractor agreement issues. Today, I'm going to talk about physician assistant contract termination. So, what's the best way of terminating their contract, and then some of the things that they need to think about. First, notice. So, in any healthcare contract, it's going to say you have to provide generally 60 or 90 days are the industry standard amounts. And so you would write a letter of resignation, give it to your employer, and then that would start the 60-day window if it was 60 days. One thing you need to think about, at the back of the contract, there should be a section called either notice or notices, and it'll say you have to either personally deliver it, send certified mail. So verbally telling your boss, usually not effective notice, email sometimes, but it could not be effective notice either. So you just need to think, all right, making certain you're starting that clock correctly. Next, compensation. Most PAs are either paid a straight base salary, some are paid hourly. There aren't that many PAs that are paid collections, but if you are, you need to think about your trailing collections, meaning let's say you get 35% of your collections. Sometimes the contract will say you get no compensation after the agreement terminates. So all that money that comes in after the fact, you wouldn't get your percentage of. So generally 90 days is like the minimum amount of time that I would want for a PA to get trailing collections. So any money that comes in the 90 days after they're terminated, they still get their 35%. So that's important to look into. Repayment of signing bonus, relocation assistance. Normally, if you're in the initial term, so usually the first 1, 2, 3 years, if you were paid bonuses, the employer will say, if you don't stay for X amount of time, you have to pay back, a percentage of whatever we paid to you. So, for instance, if they paid you a $10,000 signing bonus, you're only receiving $6,000 of that because it's taxed. But when you have to repay it to the employer, they want the gross amount, the full $10,000. So this is something that kind of throws many PAs off. So keep in mind, you're going to get the net, but you're going to have to repay the gross if it comes to that. Next, malpractice insurance. If you do have a claims made policy, you need to figure out who's responsible for tail. And so is it the employer? Is it you? And generally that has to be secured before your last day of employment. Usually tail insurance is about twice what your annual premium is. So how much it costs to insure you, each year. A PA, it's not prohibitively expensive. Usually it's somewhere between $2,000 to $3,000 annually. So you double that. So somewhere between $4,000 to $6,000 would be how much you'd have to pay for your tail. It's a one-time payment, but still it's another amount of money that you need to think about. And then lastly, restrictive covenants. So non-compete, non-solicit. You need to look into, all right, how long does it last? What's the geographic restriction? Is it just my primary office? Is it any office where I've provided services? Is it all of the offices of the employer? And then the actual scope of restriction is very important for a PA. Because a physician assistant can do so many different specialties, let's say you're working at a orthopedic office, you want the scope of the restriction only to be orthopedics. You don't want it to say you can't practice as a physician assistant in any area, within the time period and geographic restriction. So, or if you're in primary care, you want it just to say family medicine, and that way you can do urgent care, you could do hospitalist work, you could do ED work, and you just want options. You don't want to be stuck where you cannot work as a PA. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense if you're working in a derm clinic and you're not allowed to be a hospitalist in the area. There's no competition between the two of those. So obviously a lot of these things are things that you should have at least attempted to negotiate in advance, but many times it doesn't happen like that. So it's at least better to be aware of, all right, these are all the things I need to think about when the contract terminates. So that's just a brief breakdown of some of the things that I talked to a PA about if they're kind of debating whether to terminate their contract or not. If you have any questions about your employment contract or independent contractor agreement, feel free to reach out to me. All my contact information is listed below in the description, and I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.